I did.
Shut up.
I just wanted to say hi to
Shut up. Face the wall. Turn around. Turn around. Good movement, sir. Give me your hand. Give me your hand.
Yeah. And you weren't really sparring. You were fighting. We were fighting all the time. And just guys getting dropped all the time. And that was just the kind of gym that I was in.
But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
Joe Rogan responds to reports that Jake Paul was arrested for supposedly planning boxing bouts. Rogan emphasizes that no professional achievement is worth risking one's life for. He cautions that boxing poses actual risks that should never be disregarded. According to sources, Rogan thinks Paul should reevaluate his choices before entering the ring once more, since pursuing fame or wealth through dangerous battles is not worth the possible repercussions. You have undoubtedly noticed some of the drama that Jake Paul has been embroiled in lately. Joe Rogan stressed that boxing is very risky and that continuing to fight carelessly could have dire repercussions. Additionally, he cautioned that the fighter might face legal prosecution if they participated in illicit or prearranged acts.
Because then you can't think, you can't do things, you don't know what the fuck you're doing in life. It's like literally everything is the quality of your ability to think. And
Nikisa Badirian has made it clear that neither Jake Paul nor his group tried to manipulate the fight or committed any crime. In response to the widespread claims that the fight with Anthony Joshua was staged, he declared them to be wholly untrue. Nikisa alleges that shocking statements were posted online, such as a post implying that Joshua had an agreement with Paul not to knock him out. He clarified that Joshua disregarded any purported arrangement and fought with sincerity and determination. Jake practiced, competed, and took genuine risks in the ring, Nikisa said. He added that those who propagate these false tales are facing legal action. Nikisa believes that this explanation is essential to safeguarding the reputations of Jake and his team by demonstrating to both supporters and detractors that the fight was real and unplanned, and that any idea of a predetermined result is completely unfounded.
I've seen the script, rigged, this, that, and the other. Do you think now, at the very least, that talk goes away? Broke his jaw, went in there against Anthony Joshua. At the very least, do you think that you guys can move on from that? Like, that won't follow you?
No, I don't. I actually, our lawyers are actively going after a number of people. One who claims to be a lawyer himself online. I don't remember the name or the handle, but it was something that had like 200,000 likes. And basically this post said, there was an agreement for AJ not to knock out Jake, but AJ disregarded the agreement and decided to not get his payday, but knock out Jake Paul. So it's pretty astonishing what people say. Your dear friend Lou DiBella, saw him put up a bunch of ridiculous things and even said, Nikisa, go ahead and sue me, but this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
And so for the people, again, just to clear this up, because I asked Eddie this question, I'll ask you the exact same question. Once and for all, was there any sort of arrangement as far as it should go this many rounds? Because that's the one that I've heard. Oh, Anthony agreed to 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Can you tell us in black and white if there were any talks of any kind between the network, the promotion, the fighter?
There has never once in Jake Paul's career been any talk of that sort, of anything to do with the fight being anything but a real fight that has exactly the same situation as any professional fight. And that's exactly the same thing here for the Anthony Joshua fight. It's just beyond mind-blowing that people would think that. Anthony Joshua was on record saying that if he didn't finish him in the first round, that would be disappointing, that it would be a failure. The narrative changed as we got closer to fight night and obviously post-fight, and I understand why, but they were pretty adamant it would take max 2 rounds to...
Jake Paul could be eliminated in no more than 2 rounds. Jake Paul has already received a warning from Joe Rogan not to act carelessly in the future. He firmly advised him to think twice before taking on dangerous boxing bouts, stressing that no professional achievement is worth putting one's life in danger for. Rogan emphasized that seeking manufactured or risky fights for fame or money might have major repercussions, and that the risks in the ring are very real for any boxer's safety. And accountability must come first, 'cause this is the problem.
The thing, look at all them celebrities like dude from the Mighty Ducks, the little boy actor that got strung out on drugs. And all his fronts and all his teeth were missing from being on meth or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever drug of choice he was on. There's no coming back from that. The people who like dissipate their teeth through drug usage, you don't get like a second set. So if I'm not mistaken, the dude from Mighty Ducks, somebody like he's been clean and they gave him a makeover and he has like pretty much fake teeth. So yeah, the teeth are gonna be cooked. Now, I agree with the other part that Rogan was saying, but let's keep going.
I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it and that he could do well for a little bit.
Yeah, and I've already expressed my thoughts on this. I'm not giving no props for a person who says I am a real deal boxer because I went in and get smashed and got my jaw broken, but I lasted longer than Ngannou. But I was crazy enough to try, because to be honest, we're way past the honeymoon stage with a person like Jake Paul. You've been in this for long enough to go through fight camps, dedicate your time, effort, energy, money, spar with people. You spar with some quality names because you have resources and money or whatever. So we're well past that, to the point where you just get credit for stepping in. You maybe got credit your first fight or whatever, first couple of fights, for coming from your background and, you know, stepping in and fighting, but we're well past that. You have a box rec. You were being ranked by
Boxing sanctioning bodies were ranking you. In other words, Eddie Hearn offered a critical evaluation of Anthony Joshua versus Jake. Thus, Eddie Hearn offered a critical evaluation of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul bout, emphasizing the meticulous preparation that went into every move in the ring. He clarified that Joshua's camp prioritized controlled aggression and patience over rash strikes. And the fight went just as planned. Before delivering fatal blows, the strategy was to methodically test Jake Paul's name and expose his flaws. Hearn underlined that this deliberate approach is representative of true professional boxing, where success depends more on timing, discipline, than tactical execution than on raw strength. Every stage of the battle was planned to keep control, while progressively establishing supremacy, showing how strategic thought frequently triumphs over physical prowess. Hearn claims that, in addition to securing the victory, this strategy demonstrated boxing as a cautious, cerebral sport where champions are defined by measured execution and well-considered choices, which also distinguish seasoned fighters from amateurs, experienced fighters from beginners. Destroy him.
He said before the fight, I'm going to break him down and then I'm going to knock him out. And that's exactly what he did. I thought it'd be all over within 3 rounds. But, you know, when I got in the ring after, because I was shouting, just, you know, anywhere, arms. I got in, he went, what are you rushing me for? And I was like, oh, sorry. So, but like, obviously he knows what he's doing. And actually now I'm quite pleased that we got the rounds, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw you said that. Really random, I was on Twitter and I saw Jake Paul's mum said she wants to get in the ring and punch you. She said she doesn't like the smug look on your face. She is promoting her book, so I'm not sure if she wants, you know. But did you see that? What did you think of that?
I was very sad because I couldn't have been nicer and more respectful of Jake and what he's done. And I think Logan's amazing. I think he's an incredible athlete. And I shook Jake Paul's dad's hand in the ring, you know. And if I would have seen Mum, I would have said, all right. But I think over the years, we've obviously had our beef, and she probably don't like me anyway. And I am probably a little bit smug. I wasn't smug after the fight because I would have been more smug if it was all over in a round. So, no, I'll give Jake respect. And, yeah, sorry Jake's mum doesn't like me, but if she can send me a free book.
That would be wonderful. Adam Catterall gave a direct and honest evaluation of the fight between Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. Adam, Catterall gave a direct and honest analysis of the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul bout, highlighting the serious imbalance that contemporary boxing has when popularity affects matchups. He maintained that Jake Paul's quick ascent in the sport is more due to his celebrity status and social media presence than to actual technical proficiency or ring experience. According to Catterall, Anthony Joshua demonstrated exceptional control, timing, and accuracy while purposefully limiting his full strength. He delivered punches that caused actual harm and emphasized the disparity in skill between the boxers. This striking disparity raised the possibility that factors other than strictly athletic ones may have affected some parts of the fight. There were rumors that Jake Paul tried to control or influence the match's tempo in order to reduce danger and preserve appearances. These rumors reflected larger worries about celebrity boxing putting show ahead of reality. Catterall's findings highlight how contemporary, hype-driven contests can skew competitive integrity by prioritizing marketability and entertainment over skill, strategy, and the traditional ideals that characterize professional boxing. It's personal legitimacy.
Own credibility, I've got to knock you out, but I've got to try and knock you out where I'm not hurting you as much as what I could if I unleashed. Yeah. And with the punch you said that he landed, it's not his best punch, it's his most powerful punch, right? Yep. And he's shattered his jaw in 2 places, right? So Anthony Joshua gets his 70 million, whatever it is. But I think he's sitting there thinking, thank God for that. Thank God. On a human level, I've come out, all right, I've sort of, not reputation, but I haven't hurt him as bad as what I could have.
There should be an awful amount of people breathing a massive sigh of relief. Anybody that put that fight together, Athletic Commissions, like you said.
It wasn't a fight.
No, it wasn't at all. Like you said, it was a prize fight. It was an event. If Anthony damages him, he's got to live with that for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of stress to deal with, you know what I mean? So I'm sure he's bleeding the side of relief. The team that have put him in there, that have negotiated that for him, but the authorities that put that on and commissioned it as a proper boxing match, I've no doubt.
Does that go on his...
Yeah, it's a professional boxing.
Do you know what? If I was Anthony Joshua, I would be saying, I don't want that on my record. Well, yeah. But for the credibility of them putting the fight on, they would have said to him, no, we've got to say this. It's been commissioned. It's going to be a proper fight. And I found it, I love my boxing, but I just find the whole thing really, really unedifying. You said about get followers. You mentioned Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is nowhere near his level of getting like a British title fight or whatever. Nowhere near. So it's basically he's like...
Beat Jake Paul.
Well, beat Jake Paul. But so
but what I'm saying is that 100. I stand by that, and I think Tommy would admit that. You know what I mean? To become a British champion, it's a very prestigious thing to do.
Indeed, Sam Jones responded to the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul battle in an open and honest manner, highlighting that the fight was difficult to watch because of obvious technical flaws rather than violent altercations. He noted that Jake Paul had trouble with basic boxing skills such as timely reactions to Joshua's combinations, appropriate footwork, and basic defensive tactics throughout the fight. These repeated mistakes highlighted the obvious disparity in experience and talent and generated a sense of imbalance. Some scenes seemed almost planned, as if the action had been carefully directed to keep neither fighter from taking unnecessary risks, according to observers. Even though Jake Paul had put in a lot of training, Jones claimed that the imbalance in skill and ring knowledge, as well as purported signs of a staged pace, made for an uncomfortable viewing experience for anyone hoping for real competitive tension. The bout highlighted the dangers of combining celebrity appeal with professional boxing, showing how spectacle can occasionally eclipse talent and genuineness, leaving spectators doubting the validity of events where entertainment and performance collide.
Anthony Joshua knocking out and breaking Jake Paul's jaw. Just talk to me right now about the fight itself and then we'll break it down.
Bit of a crap fight, if we're all honest. It was like watching Jaws 2 when all the kids went out on their boats and they were in the middle of the sea and the shark was just surrounding the boat, just like that's what it was like. It was just like a shark circling its prey and just like it was like nibbling and eventually got him. But Jake Paul showed big plums in there, no matter what anybody says about him, because I've seen people say, yeah, he went in there to survive. Yeah, okay, he went in there to survive. He's a guy that's been boxing a couple of years against a unified champion of the world who can really punch. Yeah, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best fight. It just wasn't the best thing to watch, was it? Like, it was just, yeah, it weren't great. I just want to see now Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. I think at the stages of their careers they're at, AJ and Tyson Fury, we don't need to see interim fights, Andrew. We don't need to see interim fights because they're just potential banana skins. We want to see two of the best heavyweights of this era going at it.
We must view it next. After the altercation, Luke Thomas became a critical voice in the aftermath of the fight, contesting Jake Paul's favorable attention. He underlined that entering the ring with a fighter of Anthony Joshua's caliber shouldn't be celebrated. Without careful consideration, Thomas contended that the match's theatrics obscured the actual risks. Observers surmised that Paul attempted to script parts of the fight based on his pre-fight confidence and specific in-ring mannerisms. Thomas cautioned that commemorating these competitions creates a risky precedent by obfuscating the tasing, its distinction between genuine competitiveness and entertainment.
Diving kind of feeds into the story of him being perhaps a little bit better than we sometimes think, although I don't really co-sign on that. Let me make the point. The first point is, I think people are overreacting a little bit. People were suggesting when I got on social media that this was like the biggest farce they'd ever seen in their life, and that this was, how could he fight like this, and this was a disaster, and Joshua should have got him out there earlier. There is probably some evidence to suggest that I don't think Joshua was carrying him in the sense of, hey, they coordinated this ahead of time. But was Joshua really stepping on the gas? No, I don't think he was really stepping on the gas. There were times I think he clearly pulled his punches, partly because Jake was squirmy and rotating on the outside. Also in part because I think, as I indicated on Friday, he's watching this guy with pretty bad footwork. He was literally tripping over himself, and he realized he just can't keep this up. So, okay, so there was that. But people were acting like, how could this be? How could this have happened? Guys, on Friday's MK, and then before that, earlier in the week on Submission Radio, they asked me on Submission Radio, how do you think he's gonna fight? And I'm like, he's gonna run. And they're like, you don't think he's gonna clinch? I'm like, okay, he'll clinch at times, but then the rest of the time, he's going to run. What other way was this going to go?
Diving contributes to the narrative that he may be slightly better than we sometimes believe. I don't really co-sign on that, though. Let me explain what I mean. First of all, I believe that people are somewhat overreacting, a tiny amount. When I posted on social media, some said that this was the largest forest they had ever seen, that he couldn't fight like this, that it was a catastrophe, and that Joshua ought to have taken him outside sooner. There is most likely some proof that I don't believe Joshua was carrying him in the sense that they planned this in advance. But did Joshua actually accelerate? He wasn't actually stepping on the gas, in my opinion. I believe there were moments when he obviously withdrew his punches. Jake was squirmy and all rotating on the outside, in part. Additionally, as I mentioned on Friday, I believe he's seeing this man with quite poor footwork. He recognized he couldn't continue when he was physically tripping over himself, right? Then that's what it was. However, people were behaving as though, how could this be? How could this have occurred? I was asked on Submission Radio earlier in the week, how do you think he's going to fight? By the guys on Friday's MK, I think to myself, he's going to run. You don't think he's going to clinch? They ask. Okay, he'll clinch occasionally, but the rest of the time, he's going to run. What did you like? What other way was this going to go? I think. What other option is there? Shah Sonnen expressed harsh criticism of the fight, emphasizing that fights of this nature are far too dangerous to take place in everyday situations. He said the fight felt more like a struggle for survival with dangerously high reputational and bodily costs than a real boxing match. Sonnen emphasized that rookie fighters put themselves in potentially fatal situations. When they enter the ring with elite professionals, the problem is exacerbated by these higher-risk pairings and the reported scripting by Jake Paul. Sonnen claims that the trend of fusing celebrity with athletics runs the risk of compromising boxing's ethics and putting competitors in needless danger. Jake Paul's strategy during the fight seemed abnormally cautious at times, according to analysts raising concerns about his motivations. While some saw this as a wise move, others conjectured that Joshua was able to dominate without taking too much risk at some points. According to reports, Paul tried to control the pacing and sequences in order to safeguard himself and increase the entertainment value.
That was not a boxing match. It just wasn't. Jake Paul had a very healthy fear for his life while he was in there, and he was moving as such. He was staying away from him. He was running away. He was trying to get distance. Then he was trying to step in to win this athletic competition, and then he's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get hurt again. I mean, he was fighting. Then it turns to where he can't stay away anymore. So now he's got to go the other way. He's got to go forward. So now he's clinched him. Now he's dropping down to his knees. He's going below the waist. He's getting to double leg positions. He was fighting. These guys were fighting. Jake was fighting for his survival, and you could so see it. You could see this animal who's been caged and is just trying to make it through, not even kill its prey, just make it through. And it was incredible. It was really incredible. So on the back end, some of the comments that I made or that I had heard were so confusing to me. It was a very good competition. I will tell you, it breaks my heart too that Anthony Joshua can't get him out of there in one round. Dave Portnoy had made a comment before the fight. He said, I like Jake. I wish well for Jake. Of course I'm taking Joshua. And then Portnoy made his point. And he said, because I believe in boxing. This isn't if I'm cheering for Jake or if I think that Joshua's more experienced or better. I believe in boxing. I believe boxing's real. If boxing is an actual sport, if it is an actual sweet science, then of course a guy that's done it 11 times cannot compete with the Olympic champion.